Hello everyone! I'm really happy to be back hosting these mobility talks. This month, we propose you to continue our European tour of innovative mobility ecosystems. We initiated last November with the DACH area, and now we will be focusing on the Southern Europe ecosystem. So I'm really happy to have with me this morning Sergio Diez. Welcome, Sergio. You're the director and co-founder of the Connected Mobility Hub.
Thank you very much, Marie, and a pleasure to be with you all today this morning.
Great, we're really happy. So you know the rules, huh? We'll have 15 minutes together this morning. You can ask your question in the dedicated tab, of course, and we will try to figure out how this Spanish and Southern Europe ecosystem is working. Are there some difference with the French or the German one? How is it structured? What are the key players, and what are the trends we see in this specific area? As you know, these talks are brought to you by the Mobility Club, an accelerator dedicated to mobility players who want to better understand the mobility ecosystem and to be better connected to the startups. So Sergio, maybe we can start by presenting yourself and the Connected Mobility Hub mission.
Okay, so I'm Sergio Diez. I'm the managing director of the Connected Mobility Hub. So we've been working from the last 6 years in developing this ecosystem focused on innovation in the mobility sector. So that means to gather all the startups, cities, corporations, and investors, mainly in the south of Europe, mainly in Spain, 80% in Spain, and then we work with European projects or partners, like 20% of our activities. In the basis, we do the classic activities related to a hub, like communication, participation or launching acceleration programs, scale up, mentoring, investor or innovation events. So that's the thing that we do in the basis. Then we develop innovation projects within Horizon Europe projects or inside the EIT Urban Mobility, where we are partners. Then we will talk about a little bit about the EIT Urban Mobility. So we launch and we participate in different innovative and collaborative projects in the mobility sector in these European projects, no? And maybe the most interesting part, what we do, and maybe it's different, no, from other ecosystem, is that we've been developing what we call like a model change. Mm-hmm. We think that in the mobility sector, everything starts from the city and in the city. So the first thing for us, if we want our startups to participate in different innovation projects with corporates and cities, etc., we need to start from the cities. So what we've been doing this last almost 3 years with the City Hall of Madrid. The City Hall of Madrid basically is a city that is concentrating a lot of innovation and a lot of mobility as service companies and operators, and we have the headquarters, no, of big companies that they are pushing a lot on the mobility sector. So we think it's a good city to start understanding what are the big solutions for the cities, no, in terms of mobility. So mobility as service, multimodal mobility, no, public transport, mobility as service, last mile delivery, electric mobility, autonomous mobility, etc. So we have been building what we call the manifestos. Mm-hmm. So a manifesto is like a white book. Yeah. It's like a reference that we are building with the main actors of each of these topics that they are working in Madrid. So we have all the regional transport consortium, the City Hall of Madrid, the different operators that they are working in these topics, and with them we do different innovation workshops during 6 months, around 6 months. And we develop this, what we call this reference, this manifesto. From this, what we do is to go to other cities and to other regions, okay, to show what is the reference or what they are doing in these terms in Madrid, simply as a reference. And with that, we start the conversation with other cities, and we start to study the local, the local problem, the local opportunities that these cities they can find for their local ecosystem. So with that, we study with mobility data. No? We study what kind of mobility do you have, and what are the opportunities, or what the new mobility modes can offer you to change your mobility into a more sustainable mobility. Reducing, basically is aimed to reduce the use of private cars in the urban area, and that's working very well. So we have this opportunity to enter very easily in the cities, and finally what we do is to propose pilots and to propose projects that finally we have our startups that they are going in this project. So that's mainly the big thing. The other thing is that we've been selected as European Digital Innovation Hub. So we are starting a 7-year project within all the Digital Innovation Hub in Europe. We'll be starting in Madrid, and then in Spain, and with other Digital Innovation Hub in Europe. But that's a good opportunity, because it's exactly what we are doing with the manifestos and all this model change, is to come with all of this and to take the advantage of the grant of the European Commission and this Digital Innovation Hub to push all these innovative projects within the cities and corporates.
Great.
So that's more or less what we do.
That's perfect. So it seems pretty complete. I guess you have a good idea of how it's structured, how this innovation landscape is in Spain. Who are the main actors? You talked a bit about the EIT, Urban Energy, and the city hall and the cities in general. But you maybe describe a bit the innovation landscape in Spain, and explain us maybe the differences between the region and, of course, between Barcelona and Madrid, and how it works.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly. So if we start with the cities, and the cities are the most important. So actually, Madrid and Barcelona, they are the biggest one. It's true that in the last year they have been placed in, like, I think it's like the 5th region in Europe in terms of number of startups and scale-ups. So after London, Berlin, Paris, Amsterdam, we have Madrid and Barcelona, no, as a big ecosystems of startups. If we see the difference between Barcelona and Madrid, I think for the mobility sector, Barcelona, they have an interesting ecosystem that they have been working together for a long time. So they have SEAT, no, that is a big corporation of auto, because in Spain we have a lot of industry of automotive industry, but the CH in general, the headquarters, no, of these companies, they are not in Spain, but in the case of SEAT, they are in Barcelona. So they can do a lot of things in terms of innovation and this kind of. So I think it's a very interesting city with an ecosystem, a local ecosystem that has been developing a lot of things. But for me, it's like a small ecosystem and not really open, no, for others. So I think Madrid has been taking this place of a very open city with a lot of diversity of new mobility services, companies and operators. I think there is in Madrid like 20 companies that they do sharing, car sharing, motor sharing, e-scooters, etc. And that's a good point. That's because the city hall, they have let these companies enter with very easily. That's a very good point. And the city hall, they are investing a lot of money in developing innovation around everything that concerns multimodal mobility and last mile delivery. So they have develop a big multimodal platform that is owned by them. So they integrate all the public transportation and all this offer of shared mobility, and it's a way for them to understand what is happening in the city.
Yeah,
so I think for that, Madrid is very open, and that has led them to have all this ecosystem. In terms of big companies, most of the companies, the headquarters, they are based in Madrid. Some of them, they are based in Barcelona or other cities. But I think Madrid, they count with the principal and the main headquarters of the different, for example, electric, Iberdrola, infrastructure, Ferrovial, Acciona, SACIR, Telecom, Mónica, or big operators, no, like Renfe, Alsa, Global Via. They are international. They are investing in startups. They all of these they have ventures that invest directly in startups for doing pilots, commercialization, or just investing. So we have more around. We have contact with, or we have detected and have contact with around 350 companies, and these are most based in Madrid, as well as other cities like Malaga, Valencia, Barcelona, etc. In general, we have detected around 200 startups projects, and basically what we are going to find in Spain is more related to services than to technology development.
Okay. And I guess you also have plenty of startups working to subjects related to the low emission area, because it's a big subject in all the big cities in Europe.
Exactly. So yeah, so all in Spain there are like 150 cities that they have to develop the low emission zones. Basically, that is going to directly to reduce the number of cars that they are entering the city. So they have to develop an alternative way of mobility. It's not only about going walking or cycling. It's not only about the public transportation. So it's a mixture of everything, what we call multimodal mobility. So that's those are we can say our customers. The thing here is that we have now with the next generation and other initiatives like EIT Urban Mobility or Digital Innovation Hub, Next Generation Funds, etc. We have funding for developing this innovation in these cities. I think for Spain is like 140 billion euros that they are coming for the next generation funds. Like 70 billions in direct funding with no return, and within this, around like 20 billion is for mobility. We talk about developing all around electric mobility. It's about to give money to incentivize, of course, the to buy. For public transport or private transport to buy electric vehicles like everywhere. But it's also about how we are going to invest in our factories in order to develop lithium batteries or hydrogen or other things in order to transform the industry to the electric mobility sector. So there are a lot of money there. Then there is a big amount of money that is going directly to the cities, to these 150 cities, in order to invest in new mobility services. They are focusing a lot in active mobility, so infrastructure, parking, and sharing active mobility, bikes, etc. And they are focusing as well in digitizing all their companies. Multimodal platforms, APP, DRT, demand responsive transportation for their buses, as well as investing in all kind of infrastructure that led the development of these new modes of transportation. And I think the third trend, we can say, or the third part of this big funding is going to be focused in infrastructure an intermodality for trains, because in Spain, you know, the trains is the most sustainable mobility for connecting cities, and the government is pushing a lot.
Yeah.
And they are investing at least, I think, the half of this 20 billion is directly to the mobility sector of the trains and the infrastructure.
Okay, so it seems the initiatives that are in Spain to support innovation are a lot coming from Europe. Do you have like a national initiative also that came up there?
Yeah, there are in terms of funding, we can see a lot of from Europe in this next generation EA2 mobility or digital innovation hub. Then locally we see how the cities they are preparing not to take this innovation. So we can see, for example, in Madrid they are developing a sandbox for autonomous mobility, starting in a small part of the city, but then they are going to spread in all the city center to be like a laboratory, you know, for autonomous mobility. That's an example.
Yeah.
Then we can see very quickly how other cities, not only big cities, but a small one, they are developing like living labs in the business centers, business parks, to lead how we can develop these new modes of sustainable mobility. So basically, they are changing the regulation, they are opening to adapt themselves in order to introduce this innovation in their ecosystems. And then when we do this, we have the big corporations that they want to participate, and of course the startups that come after.
Great. So it seems that a lot is happening in Spain right now. Maybe what are the three main mobility trends you witness in Spain at that time?
I think mainly we see that what we call multimodal mobility, that is basically the how the mobility as a service can serve as a part of the public transportation. And we are going to see this developing very quickly in the cities, mainly active mobilities, I mean, e-scooters or bikes, and the buses, the buses or the metro of the cities, but also all the other kinds of, car sharing, different, for example, all kinds of bus on demand or carpooling, introducing in this multimodal mobility in these cities, and having multimodal apps to manage all of this. We are seeing this, we can say these new modes, but at the same time, we are seeing that the municipalities, they are bidding, they are asking for the public operators to introduce these sharing solutions in their biddings. So I think it's something that is going to be very quickly, and it's an opportunity for all these sharing operators. That's one. Other thing is that we are pushing a lot the electric mobility. So they're investing a lot. One part in technology and overall in infrastructure, but as well in new modes on how we can increase the use of electric mobility, and that is about how we can charge the electric mobility in other ways than only installing fixed charging points. For example, charge as a service. So they are pushing a lot in these new modes of promoting the electric mobility. I know that in Madrid, for example, they are pushing all the automotive sector that is mainly focused in industry, but they want to taking in advantage that we have a big ecosystem in mainly Madrid, to launch things related to connected cars and infotainment and these kind of things. So and autonomous mobility as well, etc.
Okay. And In France, because of the COVID and the pandemic, there was also a big rise of the use of the bike and the e-bike. So the cities developed plenty of new infrastructures to make sure people can ride their bike safely. Did you witness this also in Spain?
Yeah, I think that's one of the main points. Municipalities and cities in general, they have realized that they have to develop this active mobility in order to create or to promote, to push more resilient cities,
Yeah.
but as well as a part of a multimodal transport with the public transport operator. So I think that's everybody has this in mind, and when you talk with all kind of people in the different cities, they say that everybody is pushing this in different ways, and mainly in three or four. One is building, this infrastructure, these bike lines, safe parking, but because we don't have safe parking for private bikes and e-scooters. Then how we can integrate this with the public transport for having a seamless experience for the user. So they are investing a lot on that, and as well in terms of pricing. No, so integrating these services. If we talk about, active mobility sharing, no, these sharing services, integrating this in the public transport in terms of payment or pricing, and so we are seeing a very deep integration in terms of infrastructure or interoperability between these sharing active mobility companies and public transport.
Okay, great. Well, thanks a lot for all this information. It was really, really complete, and I guess all the people watching us learned a lot of things this morning. It was pretty clear, I guess, because we have no questions, so I think it worked really well. Well, Sergio, thanks a lot for joining us this morning. It was really, really interesting. And of course, if people come by Madrid, they can get in touch with you, I guess, if they want to go further in the conversation.
Exactly. I will put my email in the chat, so you can see it.
Perfect. Great. Well, have a good day. Thanks, everyone, and see you soon. Bye.
Thank you very much to all, and see you soon as well.
Bye.
Bye-bye.